Welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. At BriteVibe, we believe everyone deserves to be happy. But in today's world, everywhere you turn, there is division and negativity. At BriteVibe, we have created a global movement to bring 8 million people together who are inspired to live bright, live bold, and share bright vibes. Alone, it can be hard to change, but together we can change the world. Welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. Justin Poulet, is that close?
It's close.
It's close. Okay, Poulet. It's a French name. That's why I'm struggling with it today. Welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. So happy to have you on. Excited to have our conversation today.
Yeah, very stoked to be here and excited to see where we go with this conversation.
Yes, it's always interesting. I never know till we go there. You are a partner in a company called Clients and Community. And so if we want to, you want to just start there and give us a little bit of a background of what is Clients and Community, because we've engaged with your services, and so I know a little bit of the backstory. But what is Clients and Community in a nutshell, I guess?
Yeah, so Clients and Community is a community that me and my business partners launched in January of 2019. And what it is we help high-ticket coaches, course creators, consultants, online businesses start, grow, and monetize Facebook groups, specifically with the methodology that we've been able to build over the years. So that's what we do, and we work with all niches, every niche you could possibly imagine. We've worked with them, from like a poker coach to an intimacy coach to relationships, real estate, business, like you name it. We've worked with that niche, and the beauty of it is that it's not niche specific. It's just a process that you can utilize to build an audience and get that audience engaged with what it is you have to offer. So the actual tangible thing that you are offering doesn't really matter. The process can work for you if you're a high ticket in the online space.
And so, we found you guys probably not even a year ago. Well, probably a year ago, but then didn't engage with you guys as in a consulting relationship until about, I think, November, December. So we haven't been with you even probably about 6 months. Right. And so What was fascinating to me, though, was, I had a Facebook account. I think I know I have an Instagram account. I never use that. I'm old school, right? I'm Facebook. I'm that demo, right? I'm Gen X. So I'm the Facebook demo. But it was just fascinating to me, this whole world of being able to leverage social media to help get your message of your business out there. Right. I saw people do it the wrong way. Right. Or what I would, basically you see somebody who just joins like a network marketing organization, and then they do nothing but post about the product and the service on their personal Facebook feed. And, you're about the third day, you're like, okay, I'm going to unfollow you and stop watching your stuff. So I've seen stuff like that. But for actual legit businesses that are wanting to grow their social media footprint, and when I say grow that, kind of grow an online audience, the company that, you're with is kind of, I would say, the premier in the space, as far as, especially with Facebook and how to grow your business and get your message out in that space, I guess is what I would say. Would you agree with that? I'm assuming.
Yeah, we live in a very opportunistic time right now, where if you rewind back even, 20, 30 years ago, the way to grow a business was word of mouth, which, don't get me wrong, is still incredibly important.
Right.
But it was word of mouth or the traditional advertising channels, which was, the newspapers, the billboards, the TV commercials, radio, which at the time were just massive expenses. So for those people that were just getting started with whatever it is, the product or the service, it was very difficult for them to get into that space and start competing for that advertising. But now with social media, we do have these incredible opportunities in front of us where basically anybody at any time can start capitalizing on that tool. But as you said, it needs to be done in the right way. We all have that friend that got into that, that marketing thing. And like you just said, they're just every single day blasting, buy this, buy this, buy this. And that's not our way of operating. We operate from a space of how can we bring help to these people rather than how can we sell these people. Right. And that's the approach we use, where you build that value and you give them something that they can go and implement right away, where they start to materialize some results in their life with whatever it is you're an expert at.
Right. And that's really the reason I wanted you to come on the show, was to really, we have a lot of small business owners, a lot of big business owners that listen to this podcast, business people, but then we also, have coaches, we have online entrepreneurs, or people that have, a course inside them that maybe they haven't done yet. Maybe they're, an expert in are really good at a certain thing like dog training or relationships or whatever, right? Whatever. But there's really confusion around how do I actually monetize this? How do I share this? How do I help people with this thing I know? Because it's like there's this whole veil of, for me anyway, there was this whole veil of mystery of the online space, right? The social media space. You see celebrities and you see, there's, all kinds of people now getting popular on social media, but then how do you act? But if if you've got great content, if you've got a great course, a great something that you can impart to people, and that people want, how do you actually get the word out, right? And that's what made this so very interesting to me, that it was really almost, well, it's a formula, right? It's like a system. It's not just a haphazard thing.
That's right. Yeah. And the common scenarios that we deal with when people are entering our program is either they don't have a Facebook group, they
Mhm.
know they need one because they
Right.
know and understand the power. They're just not quite sure how to
Mhm.
bring that to life, what that process looks like. Or the person that joins our program has a Facebook group, but they've been hitting their head against a wall trying to figure out how to operate inside of it. How often
Mhm.
do I post? What do I post about? What style posts? And
Mhm.
that's really what we bring clarity to, is how to start and grow that
Mhm.
Facebook group, but also how to operate inside of it to go from being to go from the chasee, where you're actually like reaching out and having to chase people to get
Right.
calls booked onto, to see if they want to join into your offer, to becoming the person being chased because of the way that you're operating inside of your Facebook group.
Right.
So those are the two common scenarios, and we really bring some clarity around it. And I will say the biggest mind bender is the fact that less is more inside of your Facebook group.
Mm.
Two main reasons. If you are constantly posting inside of your Facebook group, number one, the attention span nowadays, as we know, people are scrolling through their
Mhm.
social media on their phone at lightning speed. So if you are somebody that's posting all the time, they're going to start getting that blindness to you, your Facebook group, because it's just all the time. And there's no
Right.
like wow factor. There's no like, ooh, something new. It's just, oh, here's another post. I'm just scrolling by. So
Right.
that's number one. And number two is, if you are so available inside of your Facebook group, the incentive to actually work with you at a closer level is actually decreased, because the people are thinking to themselves, why am I going to invest to work with this person if they're just readily available here inside of this group?
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
So less is more. So it's a little bit of a mind bender, but for those two reasons, the way that we teach it is a limited amount of content every week inside of your Facebook group, but very intentional content designed to provide value, to paint some insight as to what you do, how you can help them, and actually start providing some little golden nuggets of knowledge that people can take, go implement, and start creating that result in their life.
Right. And so so for our listeners and people tuning in, we're going to have, basically, this is going to be kind of a two-prong podcast. We're going to spend the next couple minutes just talking about kind of what your company does, clients community, what it does and how it helps people. And we'll just use my stuff as an example just so we can make it real. And then the second part of this, really want to talk about, you guys just scaled so quickly, right? And I've been so impressed by just the way that you scaled and how well you've navigated scaling, because I know scaling a business is super challenging, especially for entrepreneurs. And so we'll spend some time then the second part of this podcast talking about the growth, because you guys went, just so we can kind of give perspective, you guys went from like 2019, 2020, you guys were doing, I don't know, 20,000, 30,000 a month in sales. Would that be accurate?
Yes. So in 2019, we did just a little over 200,000 for the entire year.
Right.
2020, we did over 2 million.
Right. And then and that was 2020. And then this year you'll do
We're
what?
on pace for like, a $7 to $8 million a year.
Right. Okay. And so so you went from doing 20,000 a month to doing, 500, 600, 700,000 a month in your online coaching business. So you're basically coaching people on how to do what you did, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
So but it was just so cool to see that it could be done in such a short amount of time, because that's also a mind bender for me, is just the compression that you can use social media to compress things and to get the word out and really kind of grow things exponentially. So let's just talk about the basis of this. And again, this is a little different than my normal podcast, because we talk a lot of theory. I want to talk more specifics today about like again, if you've got a message, if you've got a business, if you got especially a service oriented business or an education oriented business, this was just like eyes wide open for me. When I saw this, I was just like, oh my gosh, you can apply this to anything, right? You can pretty
Yeah.
much apply this to anything. So we came to you, looking to do more of a support entrepreneurs. We made a pivot within the first 30 days, and I've got 25 years of real estate background, right? So I've flipped houses, rentals, owned a real estate firm, and had 60 realtors that worked for my firm at one point, sold that to a national franchisee. Just I've been in real estate all my career. Even when I'm in healthcare, it's all real estate based. And so I had this breadth of knowledge. There's a guy here in the market where I'm at who's like newer to flipping, but does it on a much real estate investing, but does the VRBOs, does the rentals, does the flipping, does wholesaling, I mean, he does it all, right? And he's got a
Okay.
great
Yeah.
team, great heart. And so we made a pivot, and I partnered with him, and we said, let's start teaching people. We can impact people by teaching how to basically invest in real estate and how to grow wealth. And really, we're really focused right now on how to break the cycles of generational poverty by educating people on how to build wealth using real estate, and then how to teach their kids how to continue to have that wealth and build it using real estate as a vehicle, because real estate's one of the most consistent vehicles of wealth building throughout history, right?
Yeah.
This goes back to the first time somebody decided that there was a piece of land that they could do something with, right? So it's been around a minute. And we've had success with that, but or we're starting to really see success with that on many different levels. But ultimately, you guys coached us on how to form a Facebook group. So just to break it down simply for people that may have gotten confused by the first 5 minutes of the podcast, basically, you're teaching us how to use a Facebook group to help people start to understand that they can do a thing. And in our case, it's build wealth through real estate. It could be, to your point, relationships, or hundreds of other niches, right?
That's right. You're basically building an audience and then shining a light on what you are an expert at and how you can help people.
Right.
So regardless of what that thing is, that audience is truly what you want to be investing in and building.
Right.
Every single piece of single content that you do, as much as it'll, create engagement, it might bring some value to the listener. The true value is coming from the audience that you are compounding time and time again. Every time you show up and put that content and provide that value, that know, like, and trust is going up each and every single time. And a lot of the times, it's not just you in your space. There are competitors out there, and you creating that audience and continuously pouring into them and giving them value is what eventually leads them to wanting to work with you, regardless of what competitors. They are tied to you because of what you've done for them. And
Right.
that Facebook group is a magnificent way of creating that audience.
And so, yeah, it's totally that value proposition of we're providing value to people to the point that they realize we can add even more value, right? So part of our value in our group is that we provide, hey, here's this deal, here's how we did it, here's tools we use. We're providing content, and for them to be able to actually, I mean, we really, hopefully they use that and they do go buy a house or they do go buy a rental. And then if they really want to start to grow that and know how to do it more proficiently and hopefully more profitably, then yes, we do have a coaching program that they can be a part of, but they can certainly stay in the group with never be. And in fact, we know statistically only a small group of people, a small percentage of the people that are in our group will ever engage in our coaching, but we're still adding lots and tons of value in that group.
And that's the beautiful thing about coaching. There are so many ways that you can create an income for yourself in this life. Coaching is one of the special ones where you are able to make really, really great amounts of money, but you're also creating a massive amount of impact at the same time. You can do drop shipping, you can do a whole bunch of other things, especially in the online space, but none of them combine the ability to create massive income for yourself with the ability to have a huge impact on those around you, those that you're coaching. So that's why I love coaching. That's why I'm incredibly passionate about it, is because it combines those two worlds together. I'm a man of impact, and obviously I like to make money too. So coaching is a really great avenue to go through in order to bring those things to life.
Totally. And that's what we're starting to see in the, we've got about 700 actually today. We have 700 people in our Facebook group. So we're starting to get some momentum. We're starting to see more and more people come in. We're starting to see more and more people engage and ask questions. And then we had a live event, live training event here 2 weeks ago. And it was just so cool to hear this thing that it was our students that started talking about this generational wealth and this generational poverty and how they're breaking these cycles. And all of a sudden, the founder, Jason and I, we were just like, holy cow. We knew we were helping people like start to build wealth and rental, but this is a whole new, I mean, they gave us that. This is a whole new level of, wow, we're like, the ripple just got big, right? It went from, we're having an effect with our students and hopefully they're feeling more secure about their financial life, because if they get fired or laid off, they've got something to lean back on, or right, to holy cow, no, this is about like freeing people from the bondage of debt, of basically financial slavery, right, to financial freedom. And I'm just like, whoa, that landed very, I mean, and for Jason and I, it was like, this is what that lit us up, because that's what we feel, but we didn't know that that was what they were focused on. I guess it was surprising to us that newer real estate investors would think that way. So you literally help then. So your company is kind of the ultimate ripple effect, or has the ultimate ripple effect, because you help people make bigger ripples, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, we've helped over 1,000 clients. And yes, the stat of we've helped our clients generate over $100 million with their Facebook groups is cool. But whenever you take a look at how many lives have actually been touched and impacted by that, that's truly what's cool. Is we help people better themselves. And as a result, they go and help others, whether it's clients, family, friends, they are taking that and they're running with it. And the ripple effect, we will never, ever know, because it's just immeasurable. But we know it's happening. We pride ourselves on that. We're super, super, we're just super proud of what we've been able to accomplish, obviously financially, but in terms of impact, what we've been able to do is really, really cool. And that event you put on, was that in person?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's no better setting
Right.
to feel the impact that you're actually having than those live events. Like we, as you know, we put our live events on in person every quarter. That is closed to clients only. And we fill up a room of about 200 people every quarter. And the feedback that we get is always incredible, but just feeling the energy, the vulnerability that takes place in that room, the shares, things that we would never, ever know, working virtually, we get to see and experience and feel in person. And it's just super, super special because it's actually tangible. We work in this online space. You're like a 2D version of yourself on a screen, and you see yourselves like on the screen. Whenever you can actually get in person and shake hands and give hugs and feel like, we've had people so many times, like they're sharing how we've impacted them and they break down into tears.
Right.
Like, that to me is the ultimate win of what we've been able to create here over these last few years.
Right. Exactly. Totally. And so, yeah, there's lots of fun stuff there. So the first part of our podcast has been about, you can utilize Facebook groups to provide education, to provide content, to provide value to people's lives. And then as they start to see that value, if you have you call it a high ticket coaching program, but typically a coaching program of 3,000 or more, then you can afford to kind of pay for some of the systems and some of the ad spend, so that you have, I mean, it's involved once you get into it, but ultimately you're growing this group to add value to the group so that eventually people will want to know more, and then you can impact their lives on a deeper level, right? Is there more that we need to kind of explain around that so people would have an understanding of what your company does?
No. So basically, you have this offer. We like to work with high ticket offers just because it makes sense whenever you're growing the audience and we're teaching you strategies using paid traffic. You want to be able to make a return on your ad spend, right? So that's why, we're looking for high ticket of like 2,000 plus with your offer.
Got it.
We can make that work. It totally makes sense. But I'll just share a quick little 2-minute story here. I just flew back from Scottsdale, Arizona yesterday. I got back home, super early morning yesterday. And the reason I was there is because a long-standing client of ours, 3+ years, he's been in our programs. He started with us at, $5,000 to $10,000 a month, inconsistent. And basically he was losing money. So he was making 5 to 10, spending, 10 to 13 to make that 5 to 10. So he was in a really bad spot. And now he is doing 100,000 per month consistently, 100,000 plus. And the beautiful thing is he has no involvement in the sales process. He's built a team around him, and he gets to do what he loves, which is create content. and there's a whole team that does the actual logistics of bringing people from a group member into a client and helping them at a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I was in Scottsdale is because he put on his first ever event for his clients.
Right.
And I MC our events every quarter for clients and community. He's attended 6 or 7 of those, and he asked me to go and MC his event.
Right.
And being in the room and being able to witness what he's built internally with his team, externally with his clients, just made me incredibly, incredibly proud, because he came to us as like a solopreneur
Right.
struggling. And the
Mm-hmm.
transformation that I've seen in him over these 3 years is just mind boggling to me. And I mean, we hear about our client wins and hosted this event and this happened, but being able to be in the room and just witness what he's built and how much of an impact he's having because of being in our program, I broke down and cried whenever after the event we were doing a debrief and the whole team was there, and I looked at him in the eyes and I'm like, man, I am so proud of you for what you have built here. It's just absolutely incredible. And yeah, I mean, ever since I became a dad, I'm just a big teddy bear. So I mean, I broke down and cried, and
I
we
love
hugged it
it.
out, and I just let
Right.
him know how proud I am. But that's the impact that I'm talking about. It
Right.
feels so good.
Yes, totally. Totally. And I, yes, that makes sense. Just like when, like I said, we're 2 weeks out of our live thing, and just to have, yeah, I had tears in my eyes because of people saying their whys, why they wanted to do what we teach. They were, and it was like just so profound. I was just like, what? It just fired me up more, right? It made me more passionate about providing more value. It was like, okay, we gotta provide even more value, right? We gotta, because this makes, it's just, and I think everybody who's, listening to this, and everybody who's kind of called to help others, especially in this coaching space, it's super challenging, and it's also super rewarding, right? If you're going to do anything to help and add value to people's lives, you're gonna have to, one, step up your own game. You're gonna have to grow and learn if you want to continue to expand, right, and reach more
Yep.
people. But it's so rewarding, and so I guess almost noble to watch how you've helped somebody, provided education, provided resources, and watch them be successful at whatever you're coaching them. It's just such a cool thing, right? I mean, I understand. I've always been a teacher, but never really a coach. And once I got into the coaching space, I'm like, this is so cool to watch people truly. I mean, you can't help but feel like thankful, grateful, giddy,
Yeah.
happy. I mean, you just become. I'm happier for them to do a deal than I'm happy for me to do a deal now, right? I'm just so, they're like, it's like, wow, right? It's just like, to your point with kids, it's like watching your kids do something for the first time, and you're just like so proud, right? You just want that for
Exactly.
them, and it's
Yeah.
the same way with the students.
It's a pretty indescribable feeling,
Yeah.
unless you've actually coached somebody through something where they were either facing a struggle that you helped them punch through, or they had a goal they were looking to achieve and you helped them get there. The feeling once they get there and they accomplish it is pretty indescribable.
Right.
You're proud, you're grateful to have been given the opportunity to do it. It's like no other feeling.
Right. Yeah, totally. And so let's talk about scalability, because I know you're a really critical part of the scalability of your company. Again, you guys were doing literally 15 or 20,000 a month back in 19. 2020, you did, basically 10x it, and then you 4 or 5x it ever since. And so what was that like to kind of go from probably not having much of any staff, right, to like, how many people, coaches are in your company now, affiliated through
Yeah.
what you guys do?
So we're at like 30 plus now inside of
Got
our
it.
company.
Got it.
Back in 2019, it was me and my 3 business partners, and that was it. That was the
Right.
company, right?
Right.
So
Right.
it's been quite a journey, lots of learning curves along the way, but a journey that I am forever grateful for. Especially in March 2020, I was still working my full-time job with the government here in Canada, and I
Mm-hmm.
was working part-time for this company,
Mm-hmm.
making $500 a month. And then from 1 month to the next, when we had our first 6-figure month, I was able to step away from my job and enter this full time, and go from $500 a month to a full-time salary, and like
Right.
this new life from like one day to the next. It was like on a Friday I quit that job, and on the Monday I started this full time, and it was just mind-boggling to me. Like, I
Right.
still remember I documented my last day in my
Right.
full-time job. Like, I recorded myself walking out of the building and like talking through the emotions that I was feeling, because it was so unique. I had never gone through anything like that or felt anything like it. And then, yeah, and then for the next couple months after that, it was just the four of us. And then
Uh-huh.
we got to a point where we needed to start building a team around us, because there was no way at the
Right.
pace that we were growing we'd be able to keep up with demand. And so we started building a team. And in April of 2020, I went full time. We started building a team. We started building a team with sales.
Got it.
So we started building a sales team first, because two of my business partners were doing the sales process. We had one booking calls, we had one conducting the calls and enrolling clients,
Right.
and that was all they were doing.
Right.
And you can't build a company and plan for the future and be a visionary when you're deeply in the weeds. So
Right.
got them out of there first, got them, looking after the long-term sustainability of our company. And for, the next 6 months, I was the client success department,
Right.
doing absolutely everything, right? To a point where I started, hitting my max, and we started building a fulfillment team around me.
Mhm.
And now I've got like 12 people on my team.
Right.
So it's been quite a journey.
Yeah, and just hearing some of the backstories I've heard is, yeah, it's like drinking from the fire hose, right? Because it was just so quickly. It wasn't like, it was a steady, it was basically you had kind of like a doing, 20,000 a month in coaching to all of a sudden you're doing 100, 200, 300,000 a month in coaching in less than a year's frame of time. So you guys had to kind of make it up as you went, if I want to
Yeah.
put it that way. And so how are you, when you guys are looking, especially for any companies that are out there that are scaling at a fairly quick rate, how do you onboard people so quickly to make sure, because a bad hire is going to cost you, 10 times whatever you pay them, right? Just because of the
Yeah.
time, the loss of time and training. So how are you guys very conscious and very, I guess what I want to say, very, how do you do your hiring when you're hiring people so quickly? How do you do that so you're getting the right fit more than you're getting the wrong fit?
Yeah. So the process differs depending on what position we're looking to hire for. So
Mhm.
for sales, we've actually gone to some agencies that have vetted sales
Mm,
talent.
got
And
it.
basically, they interview us, they ask us what our offer is, what we're looking for, and they will go on their list of, vetted sales talent, and they'll say, here's our top 5 suggestions. And then we
Got it.
take over from there.
Hmm.
We interview them, running through our hiring process. The other option that you can do is, go on, Indeed, Upwork, all
Right.
those ZipRecruiter sites or whatever. That's another option. We also will go from within our own network, our
Mm,
public Facebook group, our current and past clientele,
mhm,
and we'll go and make those job postings available there. So
mhm,
for my world in the fulfillment department,
mhm,
having a past client on the team is actually super, super powerful. The reason
mm,
being is, number one, they had enough belief in us. They believed in our vision
mhm,
to put down their hard-earned cash to
mhm,
get into our program. So the
mhm.
belief in what we're doing is there. They've
Right.
actually gone through our program through the lens of an actual client, where they were learning,
Mhm,
implementing, and creating the result. So they've gone through it through the lens of a client. And that puts them in a really great advantage to help others that are going to be along that same path. They've literally been in their shoes and experienced the feelings and the emotions and put into play the process that we teach. So most of my team in fulfillment has been pulled directly from like past and current client.
mm. Oh, nice. And that's a very interesting nuance that I would have not thought about is literally, and now that I'm in the coaching space, I get it more. People have success with your product, which is coaching. Guess
Mhm.
what? They can then help others become successful if you've done a good job of making the curriculum, having the systems, right? It's to some degree, rinse and repeat, but it's a curriculum, no different than college English or algebra or right anything else. It can be taught
Yeah.
if you do it right. If it's not the kind of the star model and everybody has to go to the star, but more of the mentorship model, you can certainly scale it then.
Yeah. And I mean, if we rewind back to that hockey stick curve, we call it,
Uh-huh.
where we were kind of like
Yeah.
flat, and all of a sudden things started spiking. We went in a span of like 4 months. We went from that 20,000 to like 300,000. I still
Right.
remember, Landon was about to do a live stream in our public Facebook group. And in April of 2020, the sale to put us over $100,000, which was the company's first ever 6-figure month, happened like 5 minutes before the live stream. So he
Right.
shows up to the live stream to do it, and he shares the news that as a company, we finally hit our first ever 6-figure month. And he like broke down crying. Like there's video of it still. Like he's crying. He can't contain himself. And
Right.
then 2 months later, we're at like 330 grand.
Wow.
And it's just
It's
like, okay, this
what
is
was
the new
that?
normal now.
And I don't know that I'm real clear. What was the catalyst for such the jump? What happened in that span that made it, that kind of clicked in, right? Because that's a big jump.
Yeah, it's definitely a big jump. Getting the founders out of the weeds really helped. And
Interesting.
so Landon and Chris, who are two of the founders that were the ones in the weeds of the sale process, they're not salespeople. They were just doing whatever
Right.
it took to like propel us forward.
Right.
And then whenever you replace them with actual sales professionals with vetted backgrounds that have done millions and millions in sales, things take off a little bit more. I had also come on full time as well at that time.
Right.
So I took over a lot of their workload. So we were able to like really like flick on the switch on marketing, increase ad spend, and really just start pouring into what we had built up until that point.
Got it. So it was kind of everything was prepped and ready, and then it was just a matter of spending the money on the ads. Key members getting freed up. So me being able to leave my job, all of a sudden I have all the time in the world to focus on this. Jaden, who was our third co-founder of CNC, same thing. He was able to step away from the project he was working on full time. We brought on sales professionals, you know, able to increase ad spend, and then everything happened kind of all at once. Right.
So, and honestly, as amazing as it sounds, while we were going through that hockey stick curve where it was like record month over record month over record month, we were expecting that it would just continue on that way, right? And then the inevitable roller coaster ride that is business, that next month, and we're hoping to break that next record where we actually fell below the previous month's sales.
Right.
All of us, we were like, oh my God, this thing is burning to the ground. We're all gonna die. And you know, we struggled, honestly, because we had never learned to detach ourselves from the business. So everything that the business was going through, the roller coaster ride, we were, as the humans, going through that same ride.
Right.
So whenever the business was crushing and we were doing month over month record months, we were all feeling on top of the world, cloud nine, nothing can touch us. And then as soon as we had that little dip, we were like, oh my God, this is, you know, we can't do this anymore. So we actually brought on and hired a high performance coach. This is somebody that we found in 2020 that is still with us to this day.
Is she the speaker you guys had on?
Yeah, Carla.
Carla, what's her name again?
Carla Royale.
How you spell her last name? You know,
it's like Royal. Royal. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get a hold of her. I was going to have her on the podcast. I was so impressed by her courage on the stage last time I saw her, so I want to have her on. But thanks for that. I forgot.
Yeah.
So you actually,
one thing that she really helped us with is how to detach ourselves, the human, from the business itself, because the business is only one small piece of who you are as a person. So we need to realize that. And one way that she put it for me, just really brought it home for me, was, Justin, if you were in a car on the interstate driving to your destination, and all of a sudden something goes wrong with the car, does that mean that you as the driver are broken? I'm like, no. She goes, no. You would get out of the vehicle, you would open the hood, you would figure out what happened in the engine, you would get that repaired, and you would continue on your way to your final destination. I'm like, yes. She goes, and your business is the vehicle to create the life that you want. And if something breaks or is not happening the way you want it inside of your business, it does not mean that you as the human are broken. It means that the business, which is not a thing that's alive, it's simply a mechanism. There's something not jiving that needs to be looked at, found, and repaired, and then continue on your way. You are not broken. Something inside of the business is not broken. So instead of freaking out and having all these emotions, she goes, tap into your curiosity and ask yourself, I wonder what's not working here. Let's go and find it. Right. And she just has this way of like, giving you that verbal slap of like, you are being ridiculous right now. You are fine as a human. There's just a simple problem that's happening in your business. Go find it, fix it, and keep going.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I also think it drives home, and we talk a lot on this podcast about just having good coaches, having good mentors, having good people around you is so important to your overall mental health, your financial health, your physical health. I mean, just having a tribe or a group of people that you can lean into, but certainly, you know, most high performing people, executives, athletes, they have a coach, right? That's giving them feedback and perspective when because we all can lose perspective in our own minds. 2 a.m. in the morning, everything's on fire and everything's going to burn to hell. And then, you wake up the next morning and the sun's shining. It's like, it's not so bad. So we need that kind of somebody giving us some perspective that's outside the business, outside of our life to some degree.
I agree. It's so important. You look at even like some of the best, professional athletes of all time, like the Michael Jordans, the
Right.
Kobe Bryants. They had a coach like Tim. You ever heard of Tim Grover? Like he was their mentor to help them get through some of the stumbling blocks that they would came across in their journey. So
Right.
I completely agree in the power of mentorship, because whenever you are in your business, some of us are so close to it. It's like putting a hand up right in front of your face. You're that close to it. And sometimes you're not seeing what's happening just on the outskirts of that
Right.
bubble that you're in with your business. So having that unbiased third party, second set of eyes in the form of mentorship to kind of point out where you're going and some of the things that you don't see is so powerful. Like for me, I've done 75 hard twice. I'm not going to
Right.
get into what it is and all that, but I've done 75 hard twice. And I was having a conversation with my mentor and I was telling him, I think I'm going to do it again for a third time. And he was like, why? Why is that? And I'm like, well, whenever I'm on it, I feel like I'm on top of my game and, it pushes me and whatever. And he's like, he looks at me and he says, Justin, you don't need anything external. You are an athlete. This is who you are, and this is what you do. And for me, that was like a massive paradigm shift. Like for years, I had been relying on this external thing
Right.
I needed to be on that thing in order to just be on top of everything I need to do every day.
Mm-hmm.
Where in reality, that identity transformation, that one little objection caused in me is like, I've been operating in that frame of mind with that identity of like, I am an athlete. This is who I am. This is what I do. And right now, if you were to go to ask either one of my daughters, they're 7 and 5, and you go and ask them, what are Poulets? They'll respond to you with, we are athletes.
Nice.
So
Nice.
sometimes that power of mentorship is just like that to me right there is like worth the investment. It's worth everything. Just having that little correction in the mindset, or either it's a tangible tool, the strategy, anything. There's just so much power in mentorship.
Love it. Love it. Love it. As we kind of get to this section of the show, where are you guys taking the company next? And also, since you're in the online space so much, how's AI kind of, I know that AI is a whole nother show, but just kind of where are you going with the company next? And then what's your take on AI and what's happening in the AI world?
So right now we are internally, I take great pride in developing our team to making sure that in our space, we are it. We are like the premium coaching program in this space. And a lot of that pours into the development of our team. And right now I and my business partners, we're all in on the development of our team, to just making sure we are the absolute best. And obviously we're going to keep growing and scaling and bringing this thing as far as we possibly can and getting it to the highest level. But in terms of AI, obviously it's a hot topic. It's a trend that's going on right now. Everyone's talking about it. We actually did a training on it a few weeks back, and the demand for that training was so high. Like we were like, hey, we're doing a training on AI tonight, how to use it in your program. And the people that we had registered and showing up to that training was just unbelievable. So definitely a hot topic. We have added an AI element into our coaching program. So we've basically added AI boosters to our process. So whenever we're talking about some of our content things and some of our processes, we've actually added AI booster lessons in our curriculum to show you exactly how to use AI in that specific scenario.
Got it.
So obviously we know that AI helps the creator remove a lot of that creative burden, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of us will look at this blank screen and it's like, okay, I need to write content. And you're like, I got a writer's block here. Like, where do I
Right.
start? AI, you can be like, I want you to write about this topic, and
Hmm.
you prompt it and it'll spit out content for you. So
Right.
a lot of people that's like one of the friction points in the process that we teach, is like when it comes to creating that content.
Mhm.
So we are now showing people through those AI booster lessons in our curriculum how to basically remove that friction and how to capitalize on that power of AI right now.
Mm. Nice. Yeah.
So it is an element that we have added. I'm of the belief right now that if you don't learn and start implementing AI, the
Hmm.
people that are using it are going to blow past you.
Right. Yeah. Because it's just so, yeah. And it's just expanding day over. I mean, day by day, it's just expanding what you could do. I mean, I was looking at one of the guys on our team was showing me the other day, like the AI portal he was using had all these just like hundreds of prompts, right? Just ready to go, just like scripts, right? And I was just like,
Yeah.
wow. I didn't even know. I'm still going back. I mean, I'm still old school because AI's been out what 8 months now, or in the form we're talking about, or 9 or
Mhm.
whatever it is. But I'm still old school, like typing a question, then having it's like, no. Now there's whole prompts that you just fill in the blanks like Mad Libs, and then you just stick it out there, and then it just writes. I'm just like, wow, that's phenomenal. So I agree. It's like, and it's just so funny to me because now I'm in the space. It's so funny to me how many people have not even heard of this yet. Like
Yeah.
AI and using AI for content writing and everything, art and everything. It's just like a lot of people are just like, what do you mean? I mean, what is that exactly?
Yeah. I mean, I'm of the belief that AI is like the internet
Yep.
in 1990, where it like started dripping
Mhm.
in, people were talking about it, and then all of a sudden it's like the way of life. Like I don't think I can meet in a span of weeks, every human I meet, I don't think a single one of them be like, what's the internet? I don't use the internet. I think
Right.
the planet
Planet,
like
right,
uses and
knows what the
operates
internet.
on internet. And I think that AI is going to be like that next
Yep.
internet style thing, where it's like at first be like, what is this? They don't really know how to
Right.
use it. And I think if you fast forward like a couple years down the road, it's just going to be
Right.
how people operate. um
Yeah.
so yeah, it's actually quite incredible what the capabilities of AI is. Like, you can add recordings of yourself, you can add
Hmm.
all of your previous like content that you've written, and you can train AI on who you are, and it becomes capable of like speaking like you in your language, your like the
Right.
words you use, the way that you deliver your message. It's able to like train itself and
Uh-huh.
spit out content that sounds just like you. Like, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I know Joe Rogan on his podcast had to do a commercial, right? Where it was his voice, it was his everything, right? And it was and he was like, and I didn't do any of that, right? That was all AI, just produced, his team just produced an AI commercial without him, right? And I was
Yeah.
just like, wow, that's just incredible.
Yeah, whenever we were advertising
Uh-huh.
this AI training we were going to be doing in our Facebook group, Jaden, who's one of my business partners, he actually the post that was advertising the AI training was an AI version of Jaden telling people about the AI training.
I love it. I love it. I have a good friend of mine who wrote a book on how to use AI by using AI, right? She just
Yeah,
literally over the weekend just like wrote an 80-page book. Here's how you use AI. And that's been like 4 or 5 months ago. So it's outdated by now. But
yeah.
it was just like, wow, that's crazy. How many people did you have sign up for that? I'm just curious, just how many people actually
I think we had
attended?
like just under 1,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah,
Just on an AI training on how to use AI in your
yeah,
online business. Is that what it was?
yeah. Just like how to utilize AI to scale what you're currently doing.
Wow, that's so cool. So cool. If you could give, so my parting question here is if just now you can just think globally, your whole life, everything you've ever learned from this, from business, but personal, kids, your father, your husband, all of that stuff. If you had one message you could impart to the other 8 billion people that live on this rock we call Earth, what would that message be?
What an incredible question. I think that I would say go all in on kindness and aim to be memorable in every interaction that you have.
Mm.
I think if you aim to be memorable, number one, You're probably bringing some sort of value to that person.
Hmm.
And if you operate through the lens of always try to be memorable, I think opportunities are never going to be lacking for you.
Right.
If
And,
you're
and
operating through that lens.
and memorable through the first word you use, I'm assuming, which is kindness, right? So kindness, but adding value, not through I put a gun to their head, they're going to remember me forever. Is that right? It's the how have I added so much value to this person's life in this moment that it's memorable for them. Is
Yeah.
that
Let's call it positive
right,
memorability. That's the important
right,
word. Yeah. I
right.
think if you just aim to be memorable and you have an awareness of like, okay, in this interaction or I'm meeting this person, how can
Mhm.
I be someone that if somebody asks them 5 years from now, they still remember this
Mm.
interaction or they still remember me because like, what can I do to make sure that that comes to life?
Yeah. And it's funny now that you say that, because I think back in my life and I've had people come up to me, years later and tell me something I said to them in the moment. And for me, it was just saying whatever in the moment. And for them, it was one of those critical like things that they heard that all of a sudden changed the way they thought about their life or their business or their spouse or something. And I'm just like, and I know I've had that in my own life, right? There are hundreds of people who have said things to me that will never remember what they said to me, but it meant something in the moment to me. So we just never to kind of expand on your point, you just never really know how you're if I think if you're coming from kindness and positivity, you're obviously going to hopefully land in that way, but you never really know what effect the positive effect you can have on somebody and the ripple effect from that. We just never ever know the true ripple, right?
Yeah, I agree. And one thing that's so simple that does allow you to become memorable right away is like breaking the expectation. Somebody says, "How you doing today?" 99% of the world says, "Good, good, you."
Yeah, right.
All right. So I actually will share how I'm feeling in the moment. So like
Yeah,
somebody like, "How you doing today?" I'll be like, "I'm feeling really grateful today." People are
right.
like, "Oh, okay, that's like why?" And then like I'll share why I'm feeling grateful. Just literally that.
Right.
They might for the rest of their life go and be like, I'm gonna not answer like everyone else answers, and it just creates more meaningful conversations, better relationships, and like who knows the impact that me answering I'm feeling grateful has on that person's life as they move forward.
Right.
And you know what? Just 20 minutes before we hopped on here, I got a text message. You want me to read it to you?
Yeah, please. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So this is from a previous staff member. This is somebody that was on
Right.
my team, had to
Right.
step away for business reasons. He had like
Mhm.
3 gyms that he was looking after that he needed to go and focus on. So he didn't want to leave. He loved
Right.
working with us. But he out of the blue today, I haven't spoken to this guy in like 3 months, sends me this message. He says, "Bro, I miss you. I miss your focused energy and determination that you bring to every single day you live. We both know life is going to always throw us some blows, but it's simply a matter of how you choose to respond to them. You're an amazing man and great leader. Love and miss you. Just thought of how I'm showing up here in my new position and how largely my inspiration for how I show up is you. Love you, bro."
Oh man, that's nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Like that to me is like amazing. And it just shows that to that specific person, I am a memorable person. So it's like mission accomplished.
Right. And conversely, what they just sent you, right? Now they're a very memorable person, right? The act of
Yeah.
expressing gratitude, I mean, always
And
sticks in the mind.
I think it's magnetic. I am a big
Yeah.
believer in the law of attraction
Yeah.
because let me see the time of this text message. So exactly 30 minutes prior to that message coming in, I sent to
Mhm.
my current mentor and very good friend,
Oh, wow.
I sent just some gratitude for you. Tomorrow, I'm accompanying my daughter on her school field trip to create memories with her and show other kids what an awesome dad does. Before me and you met, I'm not entirely convinced I would have gone. I likely would have told myself my meetings, my team, blah, 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 were the priority. Not anymore. Scheduling in family stuff first feels good. I sent that exactly 30 minutes before that other text message came in.
Wow. Don't you love synchronicities of life?
It's wild.
That is very,
Absolutely wild.
very, very cool. Well, that's some, yeah, great stuff. Great, great stuff today. So thank you for coming on. I do appreciate you spending the time. I know you're busy and you're a dedicated family man, and I do appreciate that because I aspire to lead my family well and to be present with my family as well. So I really do appreciate that in another man. I can definitely say that having a family has made me a better human being. for sure. Having a wife and raising kids, that's a whole nother level of cool I didn't even know really existed that way. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, Matt, absolute honor to be on here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. And as the listener, I hope you got some value out of our conversation.
Yes. Thank you so much, Justin. Feel free to come on anytime. New stuff comes out. Let us know. Come back on, share it with us. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you for being a part of the BriteVibe podcast. For more information, go to britevibe.com. That's BRITE vibe, VIBE.com. Thank you for listening.